As oil price wars raged in the 1970s, German autobahns were occasionally closed down on Sundays. Amazingly, at that time, Volkswagen launched a new model. It had the potential to go terribly wrong, but instead it went on to be the star of a whole new generation of cars. The sleek design of this car was its selling point, and soon it became a legitimate replacement for the VW Beetle. Its name was the Golf. The first model was released in 1974 and was a revelation. It had front-wheel drive and had a water-cooled four-cylinder engine. For 30 years, VW had used air cooling systems to make sure their engines didn't freeze up. The new system did have its problems at the start, but it soon became known for its reliability. The original Golfs are not so easy to keep running these days. In fact, this one's owner, Helmut Horn, says it can be really hard work. Many replacement parts are not made anymore by VW, and that leads to high prices, like for chrome bumper bars. There are almost no original front hoods either, and there are a lot of other small components that now need to be replaced by non-VW original parts, says Horn.
Fehlen viele Kleinteile, die allerdings durch andere Dinge ersetzbar sind. Man sieht allerdings, dass es nicht original ist.
The first Golf had 70 horsepower, giving it much better performance than other VW models, and it had a strong suspension too. The car went from 0 to 100 in 13 seconds and had a top speed of 160 kilometers an hour, and all for less than 10,000 Deutschmarks. Our 50 horsepower version isn't quite so fast, but it still performs well. Why must you waste your life away? This car was made in September 1974. Audi technology is clearly in use under the hood here. I've got to show the world's got to see all the love that's in me. I said, why? The original Golfs managed to set new standards for the compact car market and often left the competition for dust. The car had good handling, and as soon as the legendary GTI came out in 1976, VW was also able to celebrate success on the racetrack too. The GTI car soon developed a considerable cult following. The Golf was one of the symbols of the 70s in West Germany. Now, 37 years later, the original Golfs don't seem really old-fashioned, just a bit minimalist. These days, car owners are just a little more spoiled, perhaps. Back then, the dials were pretty simple, and the interior wasn't so flash. The first Golfs didn't really look at all that robust either. All of my life is all I'll give you. VW seats in those days were rarely particularly good, although the Marquis had introduced built-in headrests in the 60s. 4 doors were optional, but even with the 2-door variant, there still was plenty of space. The rear seats have loop handles, a hand-me-down from the Beetle. The variable trunk wasn't invented by the Golf designers, but it was in this car that the trend became the standard. The car was what modern auto testers would probably call practical. Despite the Golf's tendency to rust and the raft of added charges for extra options, the model sold particularly well. It was the in-car of a generation. After just 31 months, 1 million Golfs had been sold. The new Beetle had arrived. Another boost to sales came from the introduction of the diesel Golf, a first for its class. The GTI also soon became cult, and the convertible sold well to younger drivers. Upon the latter's introduction in 1979, Beetle fans voiced their protest. But it didn't help. The future belonged to the Golf. Since then, the model has changed many times, but the success has always been there. In total, 28 million units have now been sold worldwide.